on these particular kinds of things. So I want to give you two very concrete examples, sort of the me example, which maybe I'll call the more traditional coaching example, and then a we example.
Okay.
In individual work, we might be working with a client and they are going on, maybe they're getting emotional. Maybe as the coach, we notice the client, there's a shift in the client.
Mm.
And so in traditional coaching, we might say, how was that for you to say out loud? Now, going back to my opening rendition of Valerie and the pictures in our heads, language, we have pictures in our heads that go with language. How was that to say out loud? For me, the picture that goes with those words are the client has something inside of them. They're struggling and they get it out of their mouth and then it hovers over their head. Here it is, where they can now evaluate what they said and assess it and judge it and compare it to what they should be doing or shouldn't be doing versus their goals or whatever else. Me model of seeing what's the activity of what's happening in the session as an isolated individual processing. Okay. Through a we lens, where we're connected, coach and client, we're a group of two building and creating something together. Same thing, client goes on, gets emotional, coach notices a shift. The we question is, how was that for you to share with me?
Mm.
With me. Different picture there. Very few different words. Different picture. Oh, and clients, I will always find a way to ask this kind of a question in a first session with clients. The client, they're bounced out of the comfort zone. They've never heard such of a question. We're all trained. We just get it out of ourselves and we'll feel better. And here's the coach saying, hi, we're doing something together.
Yeah.
So that's a shift. And if you push that through a group lens, a group example, same kind of thing, something intense is happening in the group. Coach notices some kind of a shift. Coach asks, what's surfacing for each of you right now? Picture is everybody is an isolated individual. Everybody has to speak. Everybody gets the right to go through that individual process of releasing whatever's inside of them out and have it hover over their heads. The other assumption in there is I get to say my thought, my feeling, my judgment. Okay, and in that kind of scenario, and that's traditional group coaching, and let me just say, any group and team coaching, in my opinion, is always more powerful than one-to-one work, just because it's a richer environment. You have more perspectives. And that's an example of how these individual coaching tools have come into group coaching. And then you're a facilitator. You're kind of managing each individual's individual thing that's going on. Shift over to the we lens. Same situation, something happens in group, coach notices a shift and says, where's the group at with all of this? Small difference in language. Picture in my head here is, coach is inviting group members, participants, to give something without knowing what it is they're giving. We're fully present in the moment. It's a permission for people to take that risk and step forward and babble, maybe get it wrong, have someone else in the group pick up with something that you gave and take it further or a different place. It's a question that relates to the group as builders, all the individuals in the group as builders of the group, of building something where the sum is greater than its parts. and we don't know where it's going. In that we vision, the group lead is more of an ensemble director,
Yeah.
inviting people to co-create. And co-creation is one of the best things that coaching has brought to the world. It's really so powerful and transformative.
You know, what you just described is so familiar to me.
Yeah.
And no, it's good. It's good to hear that you're out there as an evangelist for this type of coaching and this way of thinking about things. And I know you and I have talked about the first time we met with you were talking about we, and you know, one of the tenets of this leadership practice that I've created, the we stands for willing and enabled, right? In that context where people are willing to share, step in, be vulnerable, but they're also enabled by the group, they're enabled by new capabilities. So this is so connecting for me, you know,
Yeah.
in terms of what you're saying. That's so good.
I love what you're saying, and I feel like this is a good place to add, and I'm sure we're on the same page on this, that the we doesn't negate the me. It's not
No.
like joined a cult and now you get in line with the group. It's actually, my experience in group work is people become more of who they are in groups because there is that culture, like you're saying, that permission to take the risk, to
Yeah.
try saying what you actually think you might feel or what you really want to say. Or so it's a beautiful symbiotic relationship, the we and the me.
Yeah, it certainly is. And it's not groupthink, which is
Yeah,
what you were just saying, what you were saying, like it's not groupthink.
no,
No. Good. So this is a new concept for me, social therapeutics, right?
yeah.
And you talk about that coaching emphasizes relational development and community building. So
Mhm.
can you share a real life group coaching example where this approach led to something that's really transformative and a transformative experience for a group of people?
Yep. Yes. That's
Yes.
the hardest thing to do in our work is to make transformation concrete and, bite size. But I'm going to do
Mhm.
it. And I actually have two examples. So if I'm going to tell them both briefly.
Okay,
Um,
perfect.
one is um, a man came into group. He's solopreneur, really honestly, top of his field. My groups, life development groups that I run with social therapeutics, it's diverse people, diverse walks of life, and also diverse issues that people want to grow around. So we could come back to that later if we want to,
Yeah.
but I just want to set a little bit of a stage. So he comes into the group and he starts telling the group how miserable he is, and he starts laying out all the things he's doing, and then he ends it up with, um, I'm just a teacher. And the group, and so I ask the group, here's a relational question, how is the group experiencing this man right now? Or what are you hearing in what so and so is saying? And the group's like, gee, he says he's just a teacher, but he's running this international business and he's a sought after consultant, and you're this and this and this and this. The group is saying, we don't think you're just a teacher. That's not how we see you. That
Mm.
might be how you see yourself, but that's not how we see you. And that's one of the fundamental powers of group work. And in social therapeutics, as the ensemble director, it's being able to invite in the group to look outward, to give how we're seeing and experiencing each other. So that was very powerful, and we need others to help us see our impact on others or who we are, because we're just stuck in our own bodies. We can only see from here. Other people can see from all these different places. So that's one example. And that's where people develop that sense of community and belonging, is in those kinds of vulnerable interchanges. The other was a group that kicked off right from the bat. The group member said, "What kind of lonely are all of you?" And then The group took her up on this offer. That's the offer to the group. Hey, you want to create something around loneliness? And somebody said, I'm frustrated lonely. I go out on dates, but I can never make relationships work. Somebody else said, I'm future lonely. My kids aren't going to have kids, and I'm not going to get to be a grandmother. Oh, I'm social lonely. I go out and I'm out with people, but I don't feel connected to them. I'm married lonely. I go out with I'm with my spouse, but we never go below the surface. That's an activity. That's people creating a conversation together where they're making their meanings.
Mm.
That's co-created meaning. Both individuals are making their own meaning out of loneliness, and also the group collectively is creating this shared meaning and experience of loneliness, which bounces us out of the loops in our heads.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then that sense of being able to be vulnerable, as you were saying, and that sense of building something and community and belonging. That's why people keep coming back to group. I run my groups as ongoing weekly or bi-weekly groups. I do short-term, but that's why people keep coming back, because they're like, oh, this is the place that I can exercise these muscles with others. And I go back out in the world. It's harder to do. As clients grow, they bring it out with them into the world. But they see their group as a very special place where they just like we go to yoga every week to stretch our physical muscles.
No. As you're describing, providing those examples, one word that came to mind was reflective, a mirror. Within the group, that gives you an opportunity to see who you are in a different context.
Yes.
Yeah.
While at the same time, with the group lead ensemble director's leadership on our best days, of also reflecting back, hey, we're building this together.
Yeah. And even a little trickier was, in my mind, I was just thinking about SNL, like they have that scene where like there's kind of like there's a mirror on the other side and you're like talking to the future and reflecting back with you. Yeah, that's what that just came to mind. I'm like,
Yeah.
So in terms of creating with uncertainty, right? In my space, we talk about this concept of VUCA, volatile, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. That's what VUCA, VUCA stands for.
Oh my God, you already commoditized it and put a label on it? We put a knowing label on uncertainty. That is remarkable.
Yeah. And it's not just VUCA. There's tuna and a bunch of others. Turbulent, uncertain, novel and ambiguous. So we could go on about all of these. Well, we're business people. We're trying to come up with phrases that people could adapt to, and so like, okay, yeah, this is where we are.
Yeah.
So when you think about the ability to develop with uncertainty is embedded in social therapeutics, how does this approach, help clients navigate life's unpredictability and, the challenge of modern stressors like social anxiety and imposter syndrome and on and on. Those are VUCA things.
Yes, they are, Dr. Dave.
My definition of coaching is helping people achieve their level of awesomeness.
I'm coaching from the desert. Coaching from the desert. Coaching from the desert. Coaching from the desert. Coaching from the desert.